Of course, I'm Sophia from Sacred. But today we have with us the beautiful Leslie, who's joining us all the way from Spain. And Leslie is here today to talk about unleash our feminine power, to live from our overflow, not our overwhelm, which is something so interesting and so true to my heart, Leslie. So thank you so much for joining us. Let me just let everyone know a little bit about yourself before I get you to continue. So you're an expert with expertise spanning 15 years, from being a Hollywood executive to a startup co-founder to living overseas for over a decade. Leslie, you understand well what it takes to thrive in a stressful and challenging global environment. You're a TEDx speaker. Wonderful. A certified trauma-informed master coach. Definitely have to talk to you more about that. A facilitator, a speaker, and a founder of the Feminine Power and Purpose Immersion, transforming the lives of women so that they can take center stage in life and work, impacting the world with their unique influence. I love that. I really, really love that. And there is more to find out about you, Stephanie, but thank you. Thank you ever so much for joining us, because I really, what you're talking about, to living from overflow to unleashing our feminine power and really stepping into that power rather than running around on and being affected by overwhelm. Something, that a lot of people in our world are experiencing. We talk to so many people, it's like I'm overwhelmed by all the things that are happening. So thank you for joining us, Leslie.
Thank you so much for having me, Sophia. I'm so excited to be here and with your
Okay.
community, with our
Yeah,
community.
our community, you're part of it. And this is why I like having these conversations, because it's shining the light on you, shining the light on our different members. But your story and what you offer is very inspirational. Right, very, very inspirational. So let's just start by getting to know, who is Leslie. Tell us a little bit about your journey and how you got to where you are now.
Hmm. Yeah, well, as you mentioned, I'm coming to you from Barcelona, Spain. I'm originally from Los Angeles, California, but I've been living in Europe now for I think 16 years. I don't know, I stopped counting. Via London, where both my children were born, and so I've been blessed and to have this incredible international and purposeful life as a wife, as a mom to two beautiful children, while coaching women to unleash and lead in their feminine power so that they can be happy and free to live a more purposeful and pleasure-filled life. But it wasn't always like this. I grew up as a child as a brown Asian American girl who looked very different than her peers. I struggled with self-worth and confidence. I got teased and bullied as a young girl. And while I yearned for a sense of belonging, seeking external validation, this is essentially what drove me to work really hard. I spent the majority of my life looking outside of myself for answers. And so many years I spent in my masculine, pushing through the pain and striving instead of letting life to support me. So in Los Angeles, California, after graduating from a prestigious business school, I worked for the biggest entertainment studio in the world, and I was successful in my own right, but still I played small. I lacked confidence and unaware of my self-worth. And so I did all those things that I was told that would fulfill me, that would make me happy, but still I felt that something deep inside was missing. And then in London, when I became a mother, I thought for sure I found, that when I had my kids, that was the missing piece. But I continued to be hard on myself. I had feelings of shame and guilt because my entire identity up until that point was completely revolved around my work. I defined myself and my worth around my work. And it wasn't until my childhood best friend, Bo, passed away from cancer at the tender age of 33 years old, leaving behind her husband and her 8-year-old son. And that just changed everything for me. I flew from London to Los Angeles by myself. I remember it was a full Virgin Atlantic flight, but yet I felt so alone. And with
Yes.
that plane still in the tarmac, getting ready to take off, I remember the tears just flowing down my face. I couldn't hold it anymore. And I realized that could have been me. It could have been me. And so, as horrible as this really was my personal epiphany. It was thousands of miles from everything I ever knew, living in Europe when my childhood best friend passed away in the US, that this was the catalyst that made me change. It really made me question how I was living, how I was raising my children, how I was managing my personal energy. What was I placing importance on that set me on a deep and personal development and spiritual path? And so I realized, at that point, there was no more going at life alone, no more being a lone wolf. And so I hired a coach, took control of my life, brought accountability, learned the tools and practices to really stay in a place of calm and clarity and start to remember my feminine power, discovering the steps to really get clear on my purpose, less seeing those limiting beliefs of low self-worth and lack of confidence, and just really becoming more confident and starting to live a more conscious, meaningful, and happy life. And as I know you're the communities watching, and although your experiences may not be the same, that's what I want for each and every woman as I do this work. It's really my passion is that, there's got, if any of you that are watching and question, like, there's got to be more, or you want to make a bigger difference in this world, or you yearn for something deeper and more meaningful than what you currently have, then it's just my invitation to really invite yourself to ask yourself, what's possible? What's possible?
Yes. Yes. Thank you so much for sharing that, Leslie. I mean, and what you said, it's totally heartfelt. And yet, and I agree with you, we all have different experiences, we all have our different journeys, but yet it's also very, very, very similar. I hear you when you're talking about, when you're growing up, and that, you stood out from the crowd because you look a little bit different and you were bullied and everything else, and absolutely had, no self-worth. I hear that because that is it's the experience of so many women. It was the experience of me. When you are a little bit, when you don't fit into the norm, right, then you do get picked on, you do get bullied, and then you tend to make that decision, that conscious or even unconscious decision, to no matter what, you're going to be successful. So you step into that masculine energy, and continue to work and become overwhelmed and work to be successful, to prove to everyone that, that you do belong, that you are worthy of belonging. But yet it's all, as you're saying, it's all on the external. And it's unfortunate that when your friend passed, that it took that the passing of your friend, that you were able to realise that yes, we are all vulnerable. Anything can happen to us at any stage. So now it's like living our best lives and what to do. So I just wanted to first of all thank you for sharing that, like I said, and honour you so much for bringing your passion to not just to our community but to the world, to helping people, helping women to step into our own power, to even regain it. That feminine power. Not everyone even realizes, what it is and how to use it, and how we can actually help use our feminine power to help us experience life. So yeah. So can you tell me, talking about that, what for you, what is the difference between your feminine power, to unleashing your feminine power, to the, you mentioned the masculine energy. What's the difference for you?
Well, the feminine, well, first of all, I just want to just set the stage that, regardless of gender, we each have masculine and feminine energies, this conscious energy that's running through each and every one of us. We need both of them, but it's really about balance. Even Mother Earth has the sun and the moon, the yin and the yang. And so we need both. But what's happened is that for thousands of years, it's been so imbalanced. And so this is really a time of remembering and reclaiming our feminine power. And I think what we've seen in the past, especially past at least 2.5 years, being in lockdown and all the things, is that the way that we've been living it's not sustainable. It's not sustainable at all. And so there's this big rise of the feminine, that there's this big rise and this awakening, like something's got to give, something's got to change. And so it's really about remembering and coming back into balance. And so with that there is both masculine and feminine, there also is both healthy and unhealthy masculine and feminine. So I'll just speak more into the healthy feminine, since we're talking about feminine power, is that it's really about this flow energy, as opposed to going, which is very masculine. Yes, we need to take aligned action. Yes, we need to do, and we need to pay the bills and put a roof over our head and food on the table. And we also need to take pause. We need to rest. We need to restore. We need to take those moments where we can actually acknowledge how far we've come and celebrate, our wins and how we've overcome our challenges. And we don't do that enough for ourselves. And so we're kind of on this autopilot where we're just going, and we're just performing, and we're not allowing ourselves to just rest in being a human being and not a human doing. And so that's where the exhaustion, that's where the overwhelm comes in. And actually, as a woman, and even as a man, again, regardless of gender, if we take those moments of sacred pause, if we take those moments allow us to be celebrated and acknowledged and receive support, allow ourselves to be seen and heard and not going at it all alone, in those moments, we actually can receive more. We actually can do more. But yet we have this limited view, this going, and busy becomes this badge of honor, when really life is not meant to be busy. It's meant to actually enjoy every moment. But we are so caught up, especially with technology. Yes, I love technology. We're on technology right now. We need it. And also we're just constantly 24/7 being bombarded with information and technology and other people's opinions, and so much of the collective energy out there, where it's like we need to come back into balance. We need to come back into homeostasis. And that's really what the feminine is all about. And also, engaging in our emotions. So much of the masculine is not engaging in your emotions, like vulnerability is a sign of weakness, when really, in fact, our emotions as women, it's actually, we can use that, the anger, the rage, the sadness, we can use that very powerfully as fuel for our purpose, for our passion to make a difference in this world. As long as we have a container to really release that in a healthy way and do some embodiment practices, so that way we can really turn that into something positive.
Wonderful question. Yeah, no, you answered the question, which is good. Again, you answered that question and the next one as well, which is great, because it's to know even the difference between our masculine and our feminine energies, and how to use them in the right way to help us grow, to help us step into our power and stuff like that. So thank you ever so much for sharing that. Now, and you now help women to do this, to step in, to use our feminine power, and to continue to live from that energy, that ever-ending flow of energy, when we can connect with it. How do you continue, how do you use your feminine energy, your feminine power, on a daily basis so you don't get overwhelmed?
Great question. I'd say that my biggest encouragement is to get into the body, to get into our body. There is so much wisdom within our body, and so much of the masculine, and even Western medicine, and just trying to heal the symptom but not healing the whole body holistically. It's like there's so much wisdom there. So if there's stepping away from the computer and doing a doing a short dance, or getting outside in nature and earthing your feet on the grass and just getting away from the technological devices, doing something to bring back that mind body soul connection and come back into the body. Because when we do that, then we can really start to hear and listen to our innate wisdom and really try to start to trust our own inner experience. When we're so much online and so much not in our own self, in our own body, we don't know what it is that we actually want. We don't know, we don't trust how we feel, and we start to want to trust what other people are saying, when in fact we each have our own truth. We each have our own how we feel and what we want in life and what feels true for us. And the only way to do that is to come back into the body and do embodiment practices.
Yeah. Yeah, which, again, not everyone does. When we're talking about, connecting with our bodies, for some people, it's not a comfortable thing. Then we're always in the head rather than in our bodies. So, thank you for sharing that. And Leslie, if I can ask you, like, we're talking about our community, like shining the light on our community, but it's also not just our community in the world, and all the women who are growing up, all the young girls and all the future generations, that it's not an easy world. As you said, we've got the technology, we've got everything else, but it makes us in our head rather than in our bodies. Takes us away from our feminine side of us. But if you could leave a legacy for all the future generations, all the young girls that are growing up now, what legacy would that be?
Wow. And I do have a daughter, so I ask myself this from time to time, and this is why and I have a son as well, but I'm just so very passionate about my work, because to see the impact that it can do, not just for us as adults, but as parents to our children and as leaders in our community, in our work. The legacy, I mean, really my only heartfelt intention is that I can leave this world in a better place than when I came into it. So however that may look, whatever form that may take. But if I had to come back to the topic at hand, it really would be, I just would love women to know just how powerful they truly are. And that if they just tap into their own truth and their own experience, they wouldn't need to look outside themselves. They really do have the answers and the power. Women do have the power. They are the source of life, source of creation.
Wow, isn't that nice? That went straight into my heart. I could feel the energy of that, and it's a wonderful legacy. We'd love to support you in that, in any way that we can. But to step into that power, to realise that we are the source of creation, that we have it all within us. So thank you ever so much for sharing that. And talking of that, we do have a few people watching us. So I'm here, of course, chatting with Leslie, who's talking about how we can unleash our feminine power, how we can experience that overflow instead of overwhelm and stuff. And Leslie, on a daily basis, I know you've mentioned, to step into our bodies more and things like that, and not get caught up in so much technology. Right? But if you were on a journey, or if someone was talking to you who was just starting on their journey and didn't really know how to connect with their bodies, how to step into our feminine energy, the feminine power, do you have any other, tips that they can take, or techniques that we can use, that we can, become more self-aware?
Yeah, beautiful question. I would say a big part of this world, of this work, and this world as women, is to really reclaim our feminine power as women. We need to be able to have an honest look at our first relationship to the feminine and where we've been hurt, and that being the relationship to our mother.
Yes.
So all of us, each and every one of us has a story where consciously, subconsciously, we didn't get our needs met by our mother because lineage of our mother, grandmother, great grandmother, just thinking about, how, what lack of resources, right? They didn't have Zoom, they didn't have social media, they didn't have, they didn't have these type of opportunities and resources, and how life was different for them, and how that's actually carried through the lineage and carried in the DNA as women. And so being able to have a real honest look at that and doing some work around what we call the mother wound, and being able to inner parent ourselves and know that it's never too late to have a healthy childhood. That's really where the work is. The deep, deep work to really, really feel and be free on the other side of what is this that's really pushing us to just push through the pain and seek validation outside of ourselves and be in overwhelm and try to, do all the things outside of ourselves. It's because we have been wounded as little girls. And so we are seeking that outside of ourselves. And it's about, again, addressing where we've been hurt as a little girl. And there's practices to do that. I do that with the women in my immersion as a group, and I also do that with my private clients. And from that work, from that just awareness, like you say, awareness, just that consciousness. And again, we all have this. We all have been wounded as children, and that's how we experience life as a human, is through polarity. Love, fear, pain, and joy. This is our evolution. This is what it's all about. And so I would say that's having that awareness and doing some work around that really is a big piece of the work in reclaiming your feminine power.
Which is so very true. Doing the work with all those hidden hurts that we're not even consciously aware of will certainly help us to unleash and to step into that feminine power. So thank you for sharing that. And of course, now you work with women all over the world. Do
Yes, yes,
online things. You've got online groups.
absolutely. Yes. I work with women all over the world. And what I found, especially because this is the work, right? How do we heal those wounded parts of us that have been hurt by the feminine? And just like we each have a mother wound, we also have a sister wound. We have been hurt by girls when we were younger. We've been hurt by women, consciously, unconsciously. And so when we do this work together as women, holding space, being seen, being heard, being held, there's so much healing and so much transformation in that. And again, this is not about being the lone wolf and doing it all by yourself behind a computer in a bubble. It's like, again, coming together, coming in community, coming in sisterhood, which is, what you're doing here as well. It's like allowing yourself to be held and seen by other women. There's so much healing and power in that.
Mm, mm. And I can feel that. I can feel that totally. So thank you for sharing that. And before we do go, I know you do have a gift that we can give to all our listeners, whether it's live or on replay. And of course, we will put all your links in the comments as soon as we finish. So tell us a little bit about the gift that you'd like to give to all our listeners.
Well, actually, the best free gift that I would love to give our community, I have a free 3-day challenge coming up on September 14 to 16, which is called It's Your Choice, 3 Steps to Live on Purpose and in Your Feminine Power. And so it's going to be 3 days of coming online and basically doing this work, increasing the awareness around, how to balance the masculine and the feminine, how to tap into also our pleasure, like what is it that we desire, and just doing the work with other women around the world. So that's a free event that's coming up. And the link to that is lesliesaglio.com/choice.
Okay. Good, good, wonderful. Well, we will put that in as well. We'll put all your links in. And you've got a group as well. You were saying a little bit about that. Tell us a little bit about your group. Got a
Yeah, the few
Facebook group.
group. Yes, my Facebook group. Yes. So I
Yes.
have a Facebook group called On
Per-
Purpose Collective. And so
yes.
I this is born out of basically the lockdown, really just bringing, people together, my community together, high vibes, keeping each other inspired and motivated during these times of great change. So it's a place where I go live every week and yeah, just give training and inspiration around how to stay on purpose. So again, that's On Purpose Collective.
Again, and we'll put those links in too. Thank you ever so much. Truly, I can feel your heart. I can feel your passion for this, to be able to help others to, to regain their feminine energy, their feminine power, and to help overcome, so we don't experience so much overwhelm. But I can hear you and feel it, that when we're connected with that feminine energy, then everything is a lot more flowing, a lot more easy. It's not the constant struggle that a lot of us experience when we're overwhelmed by so many things. So I just want to, again, just honour you for what you do for the world and for helping us. In our mission is to touch the lives of women everywhere, to touch lives, because then it's the ripple effect. When we touch the lives of women, then that ripples out into the men of the world as well, because they're also very similar about getting connected with their feminine energy and stuff. But I just want to honour you, really, really honour you.
Thank you,
And
Sophia. Thank you so much for having me. And I love, yeah, absolutely what you're doing here and just giving women a voice and a sacred space to be themselves and to be seen, to be heard and be held. It's so, so beautiful what you're doing in the world. So thank you.
no problem. And you have a beautiful day. And for everyone out there who is watching, you also have a marvellous day as well. And again, do click on the links that we will put in the comments very, very soon. And wherever you are, remember your magnificence, and do tune in to Leslie. Join Leslie's group. Connect with that free offer. I'm certainly going to. It's such a wonderful offer. So thank you, Leslie. It's been an honour to chat to you.